Today, our interviewee for the Apex is Katarina Kyvalova, a historic racing driver, founder of the all-female racing team, the Bentley Bells, and also a good friend. Initially competing in historic rallying, she then progressed through the ranks of historic racing, starting in a pre-war Bentley before stepping up to modern GT racing behind the wheel of a Mercedes AMG GT4. Today, we're going to talk a bit about how she got into motorsport, the Bentley Bells, what makes Goodwood so special, and her deep passion for racing. Katarina, thank you so much for joining us, and let's begin.
Hi, Johnny. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me for your talk. So let's start.
So you started competing in historic road rallies over 15 years ago, and then moved into historic racing back in 2014. Most people ease their way into racing, but you went from not even having a race license straight into a 24-hour race in a pre-war Bentley. How did that all come about?
Yeah, well, it's quite a crazy story. I know normal girls don't do this. I mean, normal people don't do this, like jumping straight into 24-hour race. It's just happened at the Flying Scotsman Rally. I was there with the Bentley 4.5 liter, and my Bentley fellow told me about this 24-hour race in Portimao in Portugal. And they just said, why don't you join us? Let's just come in and do it. You can drive the car, I mean, decently, so why not? And I put in my head that I'm going to do it. And had 3 months to find my co-driver, do a race license, and just learn a little bit about circuit racing, and went for it. From when I look back these days, I think that was pretty crazy, as I said before. And but thank God I've done it, because there was a beginning indeed of my racing afterwards. Everything started there. So it was quite challenging.
And that was the beginning of the Bentley Bells, because I believe you had an all-female team of 4 drivers for the 24-hour race.
The biggest challenge was actually to find really 3 girls who are ready to join the team. Because I haven't done any racing before, so it was, kind of a strange question. Like, okay, do you fancy join me for 24-hour race? Have you been racing before? No, but just join. So, but made it somehow. Last minute, found my girls, and we met literally the night before the race, because we didn't have time to meet before, so we were just on the phone and made this plan and met, and it just clicked, and it was fantastic. And the approach to racing, the girly way of racing, the approach to racing is different. So we were brilliantly prepared. We had sheets, time sheets, everything. So it was great. Yeah, it was one to remember.
Brilliant. And then since then, you've regularly raced some fantastic cars, ranging obviously from the 2 pre-war Bentleys, a 4.5 litre and a Speed 6, to your 1954 Cooper Jaguar T33 and your E-Type Jaguar, amongst others. They're all quite different cars. Do you have to drastically change your driving style when racing each of them, or do the same principles apply?
That's a very good question. The same principles definitely apply in terms of racing. It's the same way how you drive, how you approach apex, how you do it. It's just, like brake and bleed, and that's all the same principle. The way how to drive these cars in a particular way are different, for sure they are. For example, the Bentley 4.5 liter has a central throttle. So it's totally different way how you drive it, the changing gear, double clutching, double declutching. It's a totally different world compared to what a 1965 E-Type. But in general, the way how you drive in a race a car, how you race a car is the same. Just the way how you manually drive them and handle them is quite a difference. So pre-war compared to post-war, I would say it is significant difference, but it makes it interesting in the end of the day.
Absolutely. And you've obviously competed at Goodwood Revivals for many years now, including finishing 3rd in the Freddie March Memorial Trophy, and I think it was 2015 in your Cooper Jag. What do you think makes the Revival and indeed Goodwood generally such a special place?
Goodwood race circuit, when you look at the history, is special place itself, and Goodwood Revival, I think, is absolutely unique, brilliant, one of event in the world, because in my opinion, is like step back in time. you feel like being in a movie. And it doesn't matter if you're on the side of the circuit or if you're a spectator. I've been coming to Goodwood as a spectator for 10 years, 12 years before I first time ever made it on grid. And I think the whole experience of this is absolutely special. And what Hugo Richmond just created there is rather impressive. And I don't think there's anything else in the world. And if you think about, this was a true race, I mean, Formula One circuit back in time until 1966, then I think it's special itself.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we're obviously very sad that the revival's been cancelled this year, but we're looking forward to next year.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, it was a big shame that the race was cancelled, members meeting as well. But it is as it is, and there's always a next time. So after 2021, will be great. Can't wait.
Big year next year. And then the Bentley Bells, it's obviously an all-female racing team. There have, of course, been some great female racing drivers right from the early days of motorsport at Brooklands, but it's still a rather male-dominated sport. Do you think initiatives such as the all-female W Series are a good way of getting more women into motorsport?
I think in two different ways about this. The one part is what I think is that W Series is a fantastic platform for female driver where they can show their abilities, because the main problem with females in motorsport is just to get the chance to come to races, do the races, and just get the drive, as we say. So that's very difficult. So I think W Series is a great idea, just to create it and give this platform to a female racer and driver and show what they can. Without any extra pressure in terms of, have the male around you and so on, the competition. On the other hand, I think female drivers don't need special race series. We are capable to do it. We can do it. We're showing it that we can. And many great examples like Jamie Chadwick, Abby Eden, and other girls. They showed that we can compete in one grid, in one series. So I think if this is handled as a platform for the future for female drivers, it's fantastic. They should carry on. But in general, I think we don't need any all-female championship or race series. If this is my opinion, personal opinion.
Yeah, certainly. I look forward to the day when we have more of a balance in the top levels of motorsport. Certainly, sort of Formula One and indeed GT racing, which brings me on to. You got into modern GT racing back in 2018 with your Mercedes AMG GT4. Was it difficult to transition between historic racing, such as your Cooper Jag and your E-Type, to a modern GT car with slick tyres and all the onboard technology?
Yes, it was indeed. It was sort of like, okay, so many buttons, and so can I fly to the moon with this car? It's sort of that feeling. It is different because the level of the professionality is totally different to historic racing. Everything is down to driver. You have to perform. You can't sort of, use these usual historic racing excuses. This broke down and whatever. The car is there. And even the competitors mainly, will sit in the same car and same category, same class. So it's down to driver, and the pressure, the mental pressure, and also physically, is tremendous. So I was very surprised about that. Using data, as you mentioned, totally new thing to me. Teamwork in a 24-hour race, key thing. You have to really work with your co-drivers and prepare. So yeah, absolutely different experience, which I loved and got hooked with that. And learning. I think I need many years from now on to learn it all and get into it. But yeah, it's very addictive stuff.
And then when you step back into your historic cars, such as your Cooper Jag or E-Type, did it then feel slow, or is it just a different sort of excitement? Obviously, you're not sliding in the way you are in an AMG Merc versus a Cooper Jag.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I realized that I was bringing a lot from historic racing. You mentioned the sliding, because it just happened that the car even slides in a modern car, and it's great. I realized, okay, well, this is familiar to me, so it's fine. Going back to historic cars, from GT race cars. It does feel a little bit slower, I agree. But in general, I think I've really learned, I got used to the speed in the GT cars. I think that's the main thing. So when I got back to historic cars, the speed all of a sudden felt more natural to me. And I was applying more, more speed. I was driving differently through the corners. I carried more speed. So it's great addition to my historic racing. I have this experience in GT, but in general, in the end of the day, it's a car with four wheels. So yeah.
Absolutely. And since you've had the AMG GT4, you've competed in a number of events, including twice at the 24 Hours of Dubai. What are the biggest challenges of 24-hour races? You mentioned the pressure there. And also, can you tell us a bit about your experiences in Dubai these last 2 years, and indeed the biblical rain of this year?
Yeah, two totally different experiences. You're absolutely right. So the first time, Dubai 24 Hours was, it's a major race. You're right. We almost won it, our class. So I really couldn't believe what was happening. I was super excited because I didn't want to let the team down. That's the main thing. All performed brilliantly, the team, the co-driver, and I just felt this tremendous pressure on my shoulders. Like, I don't want to crash. I don't want to do any mistake because, we just want to bring the car home and finish this race. Unfortunately, 90 minutes before the finish, Dubai 2018, correct, or not 2019, we had really technical issues and we didn't finish. And that was a big lesson in my racing life, because I had to really learn to accept moments like this. It was very, very difficult for 2-3 days just to go through and say, okay, this is it, Celebi, we're moving on. And this year, you're absolutely right. We had absolutely torrential rain. Paddock was flooded. The grid was flooded. Circuit, unbelievable. When you think about it, in the middle of desert somewhere in Dubai, and this happens, it was, I think, no insurance company, no one was insured against rain and flood like this. And after 7 hours, the race was over. What was really shame. So well, next time, hopefully. Let's see. Oh, I will try. Maybe snowing or something. God knows.
I remember seeing some of the photos of Dubai this year, and it was quite staggering. I was watching while you were racing, and it looked like a sort of wintry day at Thruxton or sort of Castle Combe. Not in the middle of a desert in Dubai. It was absolutely crazy.
It was crazy because I remember I had a double stint, and I went back to hotel to get some sleep, and I never made it back to the circuit because everything was flooded. All the ways, the gangways and paths were flooded. So I never made it back to circuit because it was impossible. And if you think about, it's just, you cannot imagine in Europe, can you? Just crazy, crazy. Well, I will always remember it. I was there, Dubai 7 hours,
And then coming off track, I've obviously thoroughly enjoyed competing in a number of your road rallies, which you've organised for your business, Bell's Bespoke. Indeed, it was great fun being your navigator in your 4.5 litre Bentley and the 275 Ferrari over the last few years. But I must confess, there are a few hairpins and cliff combinations where I was slightly praying for my life, but we won't talk about that now. But what are the key constituents of organising a successful rally?
I think personally, I've done pretty many car events. I joined them around the world. Always really like to go and just see, what is this about, rallies and car events, tours. And I think in the end of the day, everything is about people. So it's just the key part on successful rallies or events. So when the people enjoying themselves, when they don't feel the pressure, they have to, be there. And regularity is a great thing. But just to keep it more relaxed. And in the end of the day, what do you remember from the event? You remember you had great time with your car, with your fellow there, with your friends or whoever you're going with. And I think that's the main thing. It's about experience, about the places you go to. You give a chance to navigate, to look up and enjoy it as well. That it doesn't need to look at at the map or roadbook all the time. So so all over is, what are you taking from weekends like that? And okay, here we go. You remember that we almost died and it happened with me. So so it's about experience and a good time. It really is.
Yep, I agree. And Bentleys have been one of your passions for many years. And I know you joined the Bentley Motors centenary celebration last year, and indeed drove the legendary 1929 Bentley Birkin Blower #2 at the Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about what makes Bentleys so special for you?
Yeah, they are indeed very, very special to me. Always been, because I think the pre-war WO Bentleys, when you just look at them, they just look different. They just look different to all pre-war cars. You know, when you put an Alpha 80 next to it, this just looks like indeed like a lorry, as Bugatti said. And I think it's very special because it's when you drive them, you get a certain liberating feeling. You know, they are very powerful, and the noise of the engine, and you know, they are not slow. It's just sort of, it's like an animal, you know. It's like sitting on a beautiful horse and just go and you know, just be somewhere in the fields. There is really something very special about that, and the connection between the car and the driver, especially about gear changing. Bentleys are famous or infamous. If you get it right, you're happy about every single gear change because it's just right. And I think I really fell in love with them, all of them. And it's an extraordinary car, you know, and especially these WOs. I just loved them, and I did all my rallies, the most thousands of miles I did in a Bentley, not in different cars. So it speaks for itself, I think. And I'm not alone. I'm sure, you know, so many people fell in love with these, you know, WOs, pre-war, just rough way of driving cars. And I think, you know, I'm sure you agree partly.
Yep, definitely. Well, when we were going up some of those Tuscan hills and in your 4.5 liter Bentley, I couldn't believe the torque and the power. And we were doing sort of 80, 90 miles per hour with 4 of us in the car. So I'm definitely a convert to them. So, and I'm conscious of your time. To end with, we've got some quick fire questions. So firstly, favorite circuit?
Wow. I would say Spa, Le Mans. Ooh, well, difficult. Monaco. This is a difficult one, but I would say Spa. Yeah, it's sort of legendary circuit, and kind of love it.
Do you know what? You're virtually every single person I've asked that question to on our interview series has said exactly the same thing.
Oh, really? So seriously?
You're consistent there. And next question is a tricky one maybe for you: racing or rallying?
These days I would say racing. I got very hooked. Yeah, I just love racing. So racing.
Yep. And then modern or historic racing?
Ooh, difficult one. I would say historic racing. It does, you know, there's more soul in it. This body-like atmosphere. Yeah, historic racing still is my number one.
Yep. And then obviously with some of your cars, you know, I know that the Bentley, the 8 litre is completely immaculately restored, and others of your cars have patina. What do you think between restored or patina?
Oh, it's a good question, because how do you describe patina, right? It's all moving these days, and it's a big discussion about that. What is patina, what not anymore? But yeah, I say patina. You know, I think the cars should stay in the condition as you know, as much original as possible. But just to find the right way, the level between very sensible restoration and patina is sometimes difficult. So yeah, I would say patina.
Yep. And then last question: if you're only allowed 3 cars, what is your 3 car garage?
Only 3 cars. Oh dear. Yeah, well, I would say from different decades. So pre-war Alpha 8C, definitely on my bucket list for years. Then I would say Lamborghini Miura, one of my favorites. Would love to have one. And I think all times favorite, maybe Ferrari P3. Yeah, I don't know, P4. Let's see, something like that, you know. But I think it stays as a dream forever. So that would be my dream garage. Yeah.
Great choices. Well, there we go. Well, thank you so much, Katarina. That's been really interesting. And look forward to catching up in the next couple of months, certainly in Switzerland in September.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, absolutely looking forward to that one. And then we drive some hills and serpentines again, right? Some turns in the Alps. No, thank you very much, Ali.